Okay, everybody, we are going to do this one. This is not this one. Chapter 6, the programming exercises, which is the while loop and converted to a do loop, to a do while loop. This is in Chapter 6 lecture notes. Okay, so use a while loop to achieve the following. Repeatedly ask the user to enter a number and check to see if it is odd or even. Print out the message that states the conclusion until the user enters 0. That means he or she wants to quit. Okay, so I pre-wrote these statements, so to save time, we need a scanner, we need a number to store the user input, and we need to give the user instructions, and we need to read the number in. Okay, so now we want to repeatedly do this part, right? Ask the user and then get the number and then evaluate it. So the condition for the loop to continue is really when this number is not a 0. So once again, we do while this number is not 0, we continue, right? So here is the loop body. And inside the loop body, we of course evaluate. So how do you evaluate if it is odd or even? Any number modulus 2 will give you one of two values, either 0 or 1. So if it is 0, that means the number is even. If it is 1, that means the number is odd. Think about it, right? 6 modulus 2 is the remainder is 0. And 7 modulus 2, the remainder is 1. So that is the code. Modulus 2 is equal to 0. Then we will print out a statement. Print line, it is even, right? Okay, and else it is odd. Okay, so that's it. And I will run, and once again, you might already know the problem, but let's run it once. Okay. I will enter 67, and it keeps saying it's odd forever, and as you can see, it's still running, and you know the problem already here. The reason is number is never refreshed. It never gets a new value. It stays, what did I enter? It stays 67 forever. So that's why. Okay, so at the end of the while loop, we always want to refresh, right? So we want to give the user instruction to let the user enter a new line, okay? And we also want to read a new value so that the loop will, so that the user has a chance to stop or enter a new value. Okay, 23, and that's good, it's odd. 22, that's even, that's good. 0, and you get out. And I always forget to write this ending message. Let's just put it there. And we can say something very nice like, thank you for using the system, right? Okay, so that's that. Now, I want you just to review the switch statement a little bit. We can actually, here, we have two distinctive values. If it is 0 or if it is 1, we can actually make this into a switch statement. I will comment this out. Control-Shift-C, and just to review the switch statement. Okay, so what are we evaluating in the switch statement? Here, even in the if statement, we are evaluating the remainder of number, right? The remainder of number modulus 2. So let's do remainder equals to number modulus 2. And then we can use a switch. And this might be very appropriate because there are only two cases. So we evaluate this remainder. If it is this remainder, we evaluate it. If it is 0, we do this, right? We copy that. And remember the break. If it is 1, we do that. And this is odd. And if you don't do the break, is that okay? Yes, because you are at the end of the switch statement. So the break is not necessary. Okay, let's see. We enter 34, it is even. We enter 57, it is odd. We enter 0, we get out. Okay, so that is the switch statement that you can use with this mechanism. So now we are actually done with this part. Okay, so now we need to convert the above loop to a do-while loop. So here is the while loop you are pretty familiar with. Now let's do the do-while loop. Okay, so how do we convert it to a do-while loop? In the do-while loop, we really, the part we want to repeat is we want to ask the user to enter a number, and then we want to evaluate it, and then we want to print out a message, and we want to ask the user to enter a number. So our do can start here, because that's where we want to start the job, right? Oh, no. What I wanted to do is to tab in. Okay, and so we don't need this while here. I'm just going to delete that. Okay, so this is the do loop body starting here and ending here. Okay, so the while should come here. Okay, let's see. Let's look at it in detail. We ask the user to enter a number, and then we read it, and then we, I'm still using this switch statement. We get the remainder, we switch, and then we are done. And so now, do we need to repeat this? We don't. Because we already got the number here, right? So we delete these statements, we don't need them. And we just do this. So remember the semicolon at the end, okay? So this is the part that needs to be deleted. So after it evaluates, it goes back to do these two statements. That's why I deleted the two statements before this while, because you have it there. Okay, let's test it. 23, it is odd. 56, it is even. 0, it is done. Oh, 0, it is even. Okay, so now you see a problem, right? I enter a 0 with a while loop, it gets out immediately, which is logically correct. But here, when I enter a 0, it says it is even. See, I enter a 0, it says it is even, which is not correct. 0 is 0. So there is some problem when you convert that while loop to this do while loop. How do we solve that problem? So we think about it. If the user enters any number, we evaluate it. But if the user enters a 0, we should not evaluate it. We should immediately exit the loop. How do you exit the loop? There is this statement called break, right? We can actually use break to get out of the loop if the user enters a 0. So let's see, if number is equal to 0, we get out. Okay, let's see if this works. This should work. Okay, let's enter a 0, and we immediately get out. Okay, and let's run it again. We do not enter 0. They're all odd. 24, that is even. And now let's enter 0, and we get out. So that's how you fix that. This break statement is very, very useful. It allows you to get out of a switch here, right? It allows you to do that. But here in the loop, it gets out of a loop. That's it, everybody.